Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you guys once again for joining the 980s podcast hosted by yours truly, Kevin Thompson, founder and CEO of 99 Capital Group. Thank you guys for joining us. As I always say, subscribe to the channel. As I always say, go and get my book, MLB to CFP, live on Apple and Amazon. You have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at info@99capitalgroup.com. Send us your questions. Go to the website at www.99capitalgroup.com. Schedule your appointment. As you know, we're here to do what? Educate, empower, engage, and also entertain. Follow us on all social media handles at 99cap or at MLB to CFP. Today, I want to welcome you. Today, we're going to be talking about some retirement rules, some retirement tax rules that need to go. I have been stewing over this for weeks, and there's several retirement tax rules that need to go. And that's why I'm bringing on my guy, Steven Jarvis of Retirement Tax Services, CPA. And we're going to hit this thing really, really hard because a lot of us deal with these things. And we say, you know what? It makes zero sense. So here are some tax rules that need to go. Steven Jarvis, welcome to the show. Let's get it. We got my man, Steven Jarvis, CPA, Retirement Tax Services. Man, so you guys see all the medals in the background right there. My man is a Spartan warrior. I mean, you just went to this event. I mean, talk to us a little bit about what you just did, what you accomplished. Yeah. You're running up a mountain. You're running up a hill. You're I'm in awe because I used to be an athlete, but I'm not an athlete. I mean, I play baseball, right? I'm just hitting the baseball and I'm running around the bases, but you're climbing up mountains. You're doing all these things. Tell us a little bit about the Spartan stuff before we get started.
Well, I do appreciate you saying that. Obviously, nothing against professional baseball players because some phenomenal athletes. But I feel like baseball is like the last professional sport where you can get away with being really out of shape. And that's the exception. 100%. That's the exception, not the norm.
No, 100%. You're not making me feel anyway. You're not.
There's a few baseball players you see, and you're like, you're a professional athlete, really? Anyways, I have never been a professional athlete. I describe myself as exceptionally mediocre. I do like to be very active. Life's all about the stories we tell ourselves. Yeah. So I tell myself that now that I'm almost 40, I'm just so glad that I was never a good athlete because I still set new personal bests. Yeah. The people I know who are professional athletes, who are college athletes, there's a lot of, man, I wish I was where I used to be. And I'm like, man, for me, this is the peak. Here we go.
But not only that, you don't have the wear and tear as like my body. I told somebody this before. I said, you know what? He said, Kevin, you don't work out anymore? I said, no, I don't. I haven't worked out in 5 years. Yeah. And I know, and people was like, that's shocking. I said, no, I don't work out. I said, you know why? It's just because when I stopped working out, my body stopped hurting. Yeah. So I said, you know what? I think I know what the problem is. Now, I know correlation, and again, it's not causation, and we shouldn't really think about it that way because you got the heart and everything like that. But again, like I said, hey, well, I stopped lifting, and I feel better.
For all of us non-professional athletes out there, I will tell you that I actually started feeling a lot better when I did start consistently working out. And that, so back to your, I ignored your original question, the medals behind me. That actually, for me, so I run all these races. There have been a couple of times that for my age group, I've done pretty well. I've been on some podiums. So I do try pretty hard. I'm nowhere close to an elite athlete. But it really all started from kind of late 20s, early 30s, realizing I wasn't healthy, that my blood pressure was really high, that I weighed more than I should have, that I hurt all the time. I'd get injuries all the time doing things that I really shouldn't get injured doing. And that's when I started learning more about the physical benefits of working out, the mental benefits of working out. And so now the race medals for me are just a visual reminder of the work I put into being happy and healthy in life. And so this last weekend, I was just outside of Salt Lake City at a ski resort, which yes, it's the wrong time of year to be at a ski resort if you want to ski. But if you want to go out in the mountains and run 24 miles and 7,000 feet of elevation and do 75 obstacles, it's a great place to be. So that's what I was doing this last weekend.
And I can't, again, we were just talking about it before we got on the call. I can't imagine, and I'm assuming your body's used to it, but that would take me probably a month, maybe 2 to get over that.
Yeah, no, I was back in the gym on Tuesday. But I work really hard. I'm very consistent with it. And to be honest, I mean, even so, the way it worked, I ran two set races on Saturday and then one on Sunday. And so I
Yeah.
ran my first race on Saturday, was the longest one. I had about 40 minutes to recover, and then I had another 3.5 mile race. And starting that second race, I really questioned whether I was going to get through it. And when I woke
Wow.
up Sunday morning, it's like, oh, I got to take some time to loosen back up.
Yeah.
And so there are definitely some aches and pains, some soreness, but no, I feel good. We're just a couple days removed from that, and I feel really good.
Well, you're getting me motivated to go buy me some new shoes and maybe start with a half a mile tomorrow morning, maybe a mile. Get on my bike because I'm a big Tour de France guy, man. I
Yeah,
was just
okay.
watching it. Vingegaard, I mean, Tade, they're doing their thing out there. So I get up. I'm the guy that's up at 6 o'clock in the morning, like all the time trials and everything like that. So
Yeah.
that's me. But
Well, Kevin, one of my favorite non-financial tax things to do is to badger people into running their first race. So you just let me know when there's a race you need to sign up for. I will be the devil on your shoulder telling you, nope, Kevin, you gotta get out there. Come on, come on, come on, let's
no,
go, let's go.
but honestly, like those medals are motivating me right now, and I'm probably gonna go. I have some New Balance. These New Balance are probably just more like walking shoes. I gotta go get some
Yeah,
running shoes because and I'm gonna start doing more stretching because I want to make sure my blood pressure's down and everything like that. I want to my cholesterol. I gotta
all those
get
things.
focused. So thank you for
Yeah,
that. I appreciate the
happy
motivation.
to do it.
But today, what we're talking about from a
Here we
motivation
go.
perspective, we got to get motivated to get rid of some of these ambiguous tax rules, man. Like, and we're gonna start here. The first, I had this conversation on LinkedIn constantly about the Roth 5 year rule. I think
Yeah.
it's just overly ambiguous. I think it hurts retirees. I mean, I have clients that are in retirement and they may not have had a Roth account, between before 59 and a half. But I say, hey, let's start filling up these let's start filling up these tax buckets, these tax brackets, maximizing that, reducing
Yeah.
our RMD in the future. Let's go ahead and do that. But now you're forcing me to hold that account for 5 additional years.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's in a Roth account as it is. So let's just start there. The ambiguity around the Roth 5 year rule. You and I know it. Like, what is your thought on the 5 year rule in itself?
Well, so Kevin, when you first told me you want to talk about this, I was all for it because I come across this all the time. It's not the top of my list of things I'd get rid of in the tax
I
code,
know,
but
I know.
I'm with you. It's so let's I tell people all the time to not look for logic in the tax code because it doesn't exist. But
Yeah,
sometimes it's helpful just to understand, okay, where did this maybe come from?
yeah,
And so if we start, okay, what was Congress trying to accomplish?
yeah.
The goal of the 5 year rule was to prevent this situation. I have a bunch of money in an IRA
Hmm.
that I can't get access to because there's these limitations on what allows me to take that money out before 59 and a half.
Yeah,
Those same limitations didn't exist originally on a Roth account. And so what they didn't want to have happen was another backdoor Roth situation where, hey, we made a rule and then you immediately circumvented it because we didn't write the rule well enough.
yeah.
And so that's really what it's trying to prevent. To your point, though, the way it was written creates a lot of confusion. What I've seen is that very seldom in practice does it actually impact individual taxpayers other than just confusing the heck out of everyone.
Yes.
At the end of the day, since Roth is inherently a long-term strategy,
Hmm.
and I would imagine you take the same approach. Like I'm not helping people
Absolutely.
with Roth when they need the money in a year or 2 years, or
Yeah.
really necessarily even 5 years. We're usually talking long-term on this.
Hmm.
But I'm totally with you. I would gladly get rid of it or change it somehow so it was simpler because it creates so much confusion. And I do have to talk to clients about this all the time because they'll bring it up. They're like, Steven, I know we're doing these. My advisors help me do these Roth conversions. I'm worried about, and then they have a list of things they're worried about, sometimes
Yeah.
including the 5 year rule. And usually we can work through it and I can explain to them how it's not going to ever impact them personally. But we still had to go through this really unnecessary exercise that caused some fear and concern that I would gladly do away with.
Yeah. And the reason why I brought it up to begin with is because, like, I have these clients. Like,
Yeah.
for example, yeah, we were doing we were doing Roth conversion. We got this huge IRA, this huge IRA over here. We started converting it. And then the first thing is this. Oh, okay. I'm no longer with this firm where I was previously. And
Mhm.
now I'm now with my own, I have my own company.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do air quotes.
Yeah.
Technically, we're not supposed to take information from the prior firm, right?
Yep.
So air quotes are good. So So he has to keep, or he or she has to keep records of when we open that Roth account, right?
Yep.
Secondly, now it's like, okay, well, we're 4 years in. We're 3 or 4 years in. Okay, we're talking about taxes and everything like that. Well, I have to take a bigger distribution here, and I want to offset that with maybe some of the Roth dollars. Let's go ahead and maybe do that. Oh, okay. Let's do that. And then we're trying to control taxes. I'm not saying it's ideal, but what I'm saying is it does happen in regards to like just planning in general. Like we want to take dollars here, we want to do this because we're going to be in this tax bracket, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So it's just, what the hell are we doing to ourselves? You get what I'm saying? Like, why do I have to go back? Like, did I open it in 2021, or was I with this company when I opened it?
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it and of course they're over 59 and a half. So it just makes it nonsense in my opinion. If I get frustrated. I'm sorry.
No, I'm with you. If you can get a petition going to massively
I'm gonna
simplify
write a
the
letter.
5-year rules,
I'm
I
gonna
will
write a
sign
letter.
it. I might have a couple other ones that I put in front of it of ones I want to get rid of. But I mean, Kevin, you definitely are illustrating the fact that, geez, I'm trying to think of the best way to articulate this. When I work with people individually, everyone wants to pay less in taxes personally.
100%.
And it's not a let's stick it to the government kind of thing. It's just, hey, like I would like to have as much control and power over my money to accomplish my goals as possible.
100%.
And so we're all very motivated to, for most of us, it's legally find the best way to save on taxes. And those are the people I like working with. But we're very motivated to save on taxes where we can. And so I totally get where everyone's coming from. But then we have things like this where it makes it feels very restrictive. It feels almost like, geez, why even try if there's all these rules we have to navigate? And I'll definitely say that it still is worth it. There are things we have to be watching out for. I mean, Kevin, you're articulating very well the record keeping that needs to go on, and that can be very frustrating. And so whether you're a financial advisor, you're a consumer, it's important to be aware of these things because there's got to be someone on your team who is paying attention, whether that's yourself if you're a DIY, or whether you're working with a great financial advisor who cares about taxes. You have a tax professional who focuses on this stuff. Somebody's got to be paying attention. Because the IRS is not forgiving for ignorance. They just aren't. Even though the tax code is 80,000 pages long, it doesn't work to say, sorry, I didn't understand that rule. They'll say, that's okay. Here's your penalties and interest and taxes.
Well, 80,000 pages plus another 900 or so pages that we just added to it. So it's all good, man. It's all great.
Piece of cake.
Another one. Oh, so that was mine. So give me one of yours. Give me one of yours that bothers you. Said that's not on the top of my list right there. So if you have one, I would love to hear it.
Oh, geez, if I had one
So,
yeah.
Well, I'll let you think about that.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm going to go. The Social Security formula in itself, right? From a tax perspective. Okay. So let's be fair. I understand why they have it the way they do. Since 1984, they haven't moved the numbers from inflation. So that's more tax revenue for them, right? I mean, I get that. I get it. But at the end of the day, we just had the BBBA come in.
A whole bunch of B's, yep.
Yeah. And now we're saying the email said we removed taxation of Social Security for 90% of the individuals out there. Ridiculous.
Yep.
Benzignano, I'm coming after you, my friend Frankie. You're on we're gonna have that conversation.
On the list.
Yeah, but you've been pushing people up into the 85% category for quite some time. Mm-hmm. So Social Security taxation formula, what say you? What should be the answer to that?
To the So I'm laughing because I try really hard not to think about what the tax code should be because it drives me insane. Because if it was up to me, and you're speaking to it there, and I appreciate that you understand that. A lot of people look at the tax code again, want to find the logic in it, and say like, where does this come from? Yeah. Where the tax code comes from is politicians over decades, making rules that drive behavior. Because, I mean, you mentioned tax revenue, but tax revenue is usually the byproduct, not the reason that people even look at the big, beautiful bill. You can go, every single one of those rules has a politician, it has a lobbyist, it has somebody behind it who says, we want this specific behavior. And I don't mean to get political here, like as far as party-wise.
Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do.
Everybody does this. This is one of the very favorite political footballs. And so that's what makes it so challenging. That there's people that are tied to these things. So if we go, your question was around Social Security. Yeah, the easiest would just be, hey, let's just give a specific dollar amount where it's okay. Below this, it's tax free because hey, if that's especially if that's your only source of income, great. Like I'm all for it. Like let's leave retirees alone. Like they've worked hard to get here. Let's move on. And it would just be a really simple cutoff. It'd be before this, Social Security is not taxable. After this, great, it's taxable. That would be the end of it. The problem is that's easy for me to say because I don't get Social Security. I'm not impacted by it. It doesn't change my life tomorrow or even for the next 20 years. But every rule in the tax code has somebody that's impacted by it that doesn't want life to change.
Yeah.
And that's because if it was up to me, we would blow the whole thing up and we'd start over. We would say, okay, let's ignore what already happened. If we all got together today and created a tax code, what would it look like? That will never happen. Nobody's going to, because the people who benefit from those specific tax strategies, of course they don't want to why would anyone say, yeah, let me foot the bill? Like, I don't blame people for that. But if it was up to me, that's what we'd do. We'd burn the whole thing down. We'd print out the 80,000 pages and symbolically have a bonfire. And then we would start over. And if it was up to, if I got to wave my magic wand, put on my king hat, whatever, it would look a lot different. It would look so much different. It would. There are some countries who have moved to the IRS. Their version of the IRS just tells you what your tax bill was, and you don't have to file a return in many situations. That's what it should look like for a lot of retirees who are only getting Social Security. That's what it should look like for just about every W-2 employee. Like, it's so unnecessarily complicated. It's mind-boggling.
So you said something that tickled my ears a little bit. My antenna went up, and you said the tax, like it incentivizes behavior.
Yeah.
One thing in the recent tax bill that incentivized behavior was the Trump accounts, right?
Oh.
I said this is an incentive to mitigate the declining birth rates in America. That's the way I said. That's the way I took it. I said Elon came out and said something about, oh, we have declining birth rates in the United States. This is going to be a problem. And then Trump's basically over the next 3 or 4 years, they're incentivizing people to have children. Again, if you don't want to touch that football, that's fine. That's fine.
No, Kevin, how deep do you want to go? Because so like I get that was the messaging. I saw that and
that's the way I saw it.
Yeah, no, that was definitely the messaging. I don't think it'll be effective because that's again, like, it's how deep do we want to get into this? In general, as countries, as people become more affluent, birth rates go down in general. Like, that's just how like the world goes. That's not a uniquely American thing. And so the people from an income standpoint who would be impacted by having this additional account to say, hey, my kids that I'm going to have are going to be more financially secure now that we have these Trump accounts, so let's go ahead and have more kids. Those typically aren't the people who are making those kinds of decisions about having kids. They have less access to birth control. They have less stable financial and socioeconomic lives. And so I will be shocked if it actually has the impact that, like, allegedly, according to the headlines, it's meant to have. Because, I can't think of it. Like, when I've got 2 kids, and not having more kids had nothing to do with tax incentives or the economics of it. Like, I didn't have a spreadsheet about how much that kid was going to cost me. I was like, never mind, Steven Jr., like, you don't get to come into the world because of $1,000 account that might grow in the future. And so maybe that's a super cynical view on it. But if that was what was holding people, like, I just don't think it'll have the impact that people think it will.
Yeah, and another reason I said was not only from the birth rates perspective, but if I am a person and I'm looking to have new people enter the workforce in, say, 18, 16, 18 years, what can I do to grow my workforce?
Yeah.
I know it's kind of a dystopian, crazy way to think about things, but they think about people as workers and taxpayers, and how can we increase that pot to grow our revenue? Not from a revenue perspective, but keep the engine running, right? Because if we don't have workers, there's no more engine, right? There's no more output.
And that might feel like a detached way to think about it, but that's a realistic way to think about it, because look
Yeah.
at like Japan. I mean, declining birth rates. Look at South Korea. Declining birth rates do have very real impacts on the world.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like, as a country, as a world, we're going to have to figure out at some point, because like we can't continue the current population growth rate and until we get to Mars, but that's a whole different thing. So yeah, Kevin, I don't know exactly what the answer is. To me, it felt very much like political posturing
Yeah.
of we want to feel like we're giving this great benefit to people who need it, but oh, by the way, that benefit's not actually going to help anyone for at least 18 years because you can't use the money.
Yeah.
And if I mean, if the goal was to have a more qualified workforce, a more active workforce, like, aren't there things we can do in the short term to help with that? I'll be honest. So maybe I'll return the favor and just give you something that will just stir up a whole ton of crap with here.
Let's do it.
Because I didn't look at the whole post. I'll have to go back to it. But I think you had a couple of posts recently about higher education. Is that the topic that you were talking about?
Yeah.
So again, I didn't even look at what the angle was
let's go
here.
into it. Let's go into it.
But if we want to talk about the future workforce, I think we would do a better service for more people if we completely revamped the mentality and the social, I mean, kind of the social credit that comes from higher education, and put more effort into actual skills training. Which sometimes that's higher education. Great, let's lump it all into higher education. I mean, really, if you finish high school and go on to get any other trained skill, that should be considered higher education. But I mean, again, when you look at how other countries do this, I mean, we have this obsession with higher education for the sake of higher education, and it doesn't train people to be successful human beings.
Well, so you're talking about, but we have a surplus of services, right? We are a service-driven economy. So if we're a service-driven economy, that's why we put so much emphasis on higher education, because of the services. Now, if we're talking about training and skills like building cars and things like that, manufacturing processes, like those skills you get from, what do they call those schools? I think we have one here. It's called Trimble Tech. It's a technical institute school that they'll just go out, like
trade schools,
trade schools, HVAC, things like that.
Yeah.
That's, again, there's those two different dynamics here. You have the white collar jobs that are service oriented, that are building companies, that are growing revenue, or you have the trade schools that are, again, I always told myself, I say, if I could go back, I'd open an HVAC company in Texas and I'd be the richest man in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Geez, man, I don't know how many different tangents we can go on here, but I think, like, when I think back to when I was in high school, which was a while ago now, the way it was presented was going to college was the only way you could be a good human being.
Yeah, true.
And so that is definitely part of where I struggle conceptually with how we've built this up, because that shouldn't be the message to anyone. And that's definitely the only reason I started going to college, was because I was like, well, what else am I going to do? I want to be a successful human being. And it's not that I regret going to college, but I've known too many people who have gotten way underwater trying to pursue education without any kind of long-term goal. And for me, it's, even though I'm a numbers guy, it's not just this math equation of, well, everyone should just be really practical and get an accounting degree so that they can make money and support a family and pay their taxes and whatever that is. But there needs to be some kind of, earlier in a person's life, there needs to be some kind of training, teaching, assessment around, hey, what are you putting in and what are you going to get out for you as a person? Not what it does for the company you're going to work for, but like you as a human being.
Well, you also got to look at the stats, because you're a numbers guy. So the stats will tell you, over a long period of time, a person that is, and I'm not saying it's gospel, but this is this is guide to the market, JP Morgan stuff, right? A person that has their income, that's a college graduate, makes almost twice as much as a person without a college degree, or just with a high school diploma. So if you look at those numbers, that's just telling you, like, oh, well, if I get a college degree, over time, I'm going to make a lot more money than a person without a college degree. Now, I know these are averages. We know it's 50% more, 50% less, all the other stuff. But just by looking at the numbers, if you look at it from a historical perspective, on average, you're going to make more money with the college degree. I'm not saying what's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's just what the numbers are stating.
So this might seem tangential again. Somebody recently asked me if I could go back and retake one college class, just because of what I originally learned and have forgotten and wish I still understood better, what college class would I go back and take? And the first class that came to mind was actually an advanced statistics class that I took that has nothing to do with what I do in my day-to-day job. That's why I don't remember a lot of it. But I that would be a class I'd go back and take, because it's so hard for most of us to really process numbers. And percentages get really tricky, and it's hard to understand like where these different things come from, because this isn't like directed at you as a person, but like as you say that, the first question that comes to mind, and maybe you know the answer to this, is the way you describe that is we have on one side we have everybody who got a college degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, something to that effect, and then we have everyone else. We have everybody who only got a high school diploma. But I am related to, I have siblings, in-laws. I know lots of people who only have a high school diploma and make more money than I do because of the trades they went into, because of the business they started, whatever that is. Now, I think in that pool of I only have a high school diploma, you have a much bigger range. And you definitely have people who have had limitations in life because they don't have the skills or education or training to get beyond minimum wage or something close to it. But it's and that's where I think we lose a lot of people in these conversations, is because we all want to feel like we made the right choice in life and look for those. Well, here's why that doesn't apply to me. And I'll be honest, Kevin, I don't know how to help people. I don't know how to help myself get past those immediate reactions to, okay, but like what else is in the data?
Yeah, you're right. You're right, because data is only as valuable as the inputs of that data. So you're absolutely right. And again, my antenna went up. You said if I could go back and take one class, mine would be ethics. I love the study of like how people work. Immanuel Kant, all these guys, their philosophy behind all this stuff. It's fascinating to me, man. Yeah, because it helps you read people. It helps you kind of, okay, I see exactly where you're coming from. Because I will tell you this, and this is why I say a lot of the things on my LinkedIn. They may seem philosophical because I read a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah,
we're all caricatures of what we want to present to the world. Like I think we're all just this idea of like, okay, this is who I want to be today. This is and I don't believe like I talk to your brother Matt about this a lot. I say sometimes I think we're just you want to portray something that we're not necessarily are at that present time. That may be who we are at that moment, but that's not who we actually are in the grand scheme of things. And I know we're getting deep right there. We're here to talk about taxes, damn it.
Oh, what's the fun of talking about taxes? I tell people all the time that you got to make good life decisions and then figure out the tax efficient way to go about them. But I mean, since you brought that up, Kevin, I'm going to keep going down this rabbit hole because we're shifting away from education here, but just the way you phrase that made me think about something that I bring up anytime I can, because I'm genuinely fascinated by it. And that idea of how we present ourselves, because we all do that, right? There is no way for us to take the way things go through our brain and communicate them in a way that someone else 100%. Is going to perfectly understand how it went through our brain. 100%. I mean, when I talk about putting things higher on my list than the 5-year Roth conversion rules, really, if I got a magic wand, I wouldn't change taxes. I'd get rid of social media. And why I say that is because when you talk about how people present themselves, again, we're all guilty of this to some degree. Social media has made that exponentially worse because now we have a platform to constantly present ourselves in one way or another. 100%. Because you go back before social media, and for the most part, we could just try to be ourselves because we had a small group around us in our community that saw who we were. And sure, we would need to be on some of the time, but we could, hey, these are our people. We can do our thing. We didn't have some people upvoting and downvoting every little thing we did. And so now we live in a world where everything you do gets immediately scrutinized. And so you have to think about, oh, well, how do I want this to be perceived? You're not starting with what do I genuinely feel? Like, oh, how's Kevin going to react to this? I know Kevin's really active on LinkedIn. What's his comment going to be if I say this? Wait, should I change this word a little bit? And there's some good things to that. Like, there's some.
It's self-awareness. This is called self-awareness.
Some value to enforce self-awareness, but there's also I think there's also a lot of downsides to it. So anyway, we've got way removed from taxes here.
No, we did. No, we did. That's perfect. That's perfect, man. I like where your head was at right there. Like I said, we're all actors on this thing. We're just.
Yeah.
I'm not a. I can't think of the word right now, but I'm not a person that's gonna think that the world's gonna die. Everybody's gonna die. What are we thinking? The world's on this big blue ball spinning through space. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Like, I do believe that some of us in this world feel like if a person makes more money than someone else, that they have more value. And I don't believe that. I just don't believe that at all. I don't value anyone else's opinion just because they make $1 million or $2 million or $10 million. I just don't, because there's a lot of dumb rich people out there.
Well,
broke smart people out there as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So the only clarification I was going to make there is it depends on how they got rich, and it depends on the topic. And so if I meet somebody, because right, wrong, or otherwise, probably more on the wrong side, but that's still the reality we deal with. Money is how we measure things in our world, right? Like that's how we've decided to exchange goods and services, and so that is that, whether it's the right measure or not, that is an easy measure that we all understand. Yeah. And so on a specific topic, so if I'm building a CPA practice, and so when I meet other CPAs who have done this successfully, which one of the measures of that is, hey, you've made a lot of money doing it. And I'm also going to look for, wait, can I see any indications of quality and ethics in there? That's a little bit harder. Money's easy to measure. And so it's like, okay, now on topics related to building a CPA practice, heck yeah, I want to talk to that person. And I am going to value their opinion more than the person who's been doing this for 40 years and has never made any money at all doing it. If I'm looking at growth of my practice, if I'm looking at like, hey, how do I balance this thing with raising a family or being there for my kids? Sometimes the person with the most money is the last person I want to ask about that, because they made a trade-off at times, not always. Yeah. And so it is a measure. It's not the measure. It depends on the topic for sure.
1,000%. I like the way you phrase that, because it gives you an idea of trade-offs. And I think a lot of people don't see the trade-offs. So let's go back to the taxes.
Let's go back to the taxes.
And one of my major issues because I deal with a lot of retirees. I mean, majority of my clients are 55 and older.
Uh-huh.
And when they lose a loved one and they get pushed up into that new tax, especially if they're taking RMDs, I'm like, oh my God, because their standard deduction gets crushed. Their RMDs are still going to be their RMDs. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Their accounts are just going to be. It's just crazy. Yep. So like, what do you think about allowing like spouses or changing that rule? Because there's got to be something. My fix to that would be allow them to be head of household moving forward, or allowing them to continue to use married filing jointly for at least a couple of years, because that immediate tax hit, especially after losing a loved one, that hurts, man.
It does. And it really speaks to the complexity of this issue, and why no one's actually going to burn down the tax code and start over. Because when one of the things I try to remind myself, again, we get a little tangential here. I have to constantly remind myself of this as a parent, because this is the first time I've ever been a parent. I also, this is one of the things that gives me a little bit of optimism for the world. Is I also try to remind myself that this is the first time the world has been this big, countries have been this large, economies have been this big. Like, everybody is making it up as they go. 100%. And there are some really smart, capable people who are trying to influence that process. And I really hope they're the ones that win out. I don't have like a list of names in my mind. Like, I just tell myself there has to be some smart, capable people somewhere trying to influence this.
Yeah.
But it gets super complicated, because when you get to an individual situation, like if whatever client you have in mind, let's just call her Mary. Like if we go and talk to Mary and like look at her situation, like I'm going to be 100% for Mary of let's simplify this. Let's make sure she pays less in taxes. Like, here we go. Let's get this done.
Yeah.
But then when you take a step out and say, hey, we've got $36 trillion in debt. Now the decisions get so much more complicated and convoluted, and none of us actually understand what $1 trillion is.
No. And I can't imagine. I can't fathom what that actually looks like.
I don't even know what $1 billion is. And so, and this is where, I think we're in for some harsh realities over the coming years of what will actually happen the first time a major superpower with $36 trillion in debt says, "Wait, we got too far. We're at 52 trillion now. What do we do?" The other piece that gives me a bit of hope is that we do have other examples of major countries that were at the top of the world and didn't just fall into complete chaos. And so, man, Kevin, you and I will have to get together more often. These are fun conversations. We've covered a lot of different things.
No, no. What's funny about what you just said? Because I just had this conversation on a podcast with Dr. John Harvey, and I said, you can't. I said, there's the histories are littered with debt-ridden nations that were at the top, but then that are no longer. They're still here, but they're not the same. And he says, well, I don't believe that's true. I talked about the French Revolution. I talked about ancient Rome, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He said those were symptoms. They weren't the cause. Yeah. I said, okay, whatever you want, however you want to portray this. But this is what he said about the debt. He said, we cannot default on our debt because we have the world reserve currency and we print our own currency. You can't default on your own currency. You can't default on it. And I was like, it sounds good. And I understand what you're saying, but he just says you can't default. It's just impossible. I said, I don't believe in impossible, but
everything's impossible until it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, we're running out of time here, which is probably for the best because there's a different rabbit hole we don't need to go down. Yeah. But the most recent example, let's go back to January 1st, 2020, and let me describe to you what the country will look like in 6 months, and you will laugh at me. And you will say, Steven, you're writing a novel. Like, I hope it does well in the stores. like we go back to January 1st, 2020. Like I said, I described 6 months later, and you're going to laugh at me.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Anyways, the 5-year rule, man.
No, we talked about the 5-year rule. We talked about the Social Security taxation formula. We talked about the widow's penalty. Give me one more. Give me something else. Give me something that's on your mind, on your list that you would like to address from a tax perspective.
Realistically, if I got to pick one thing for the IRS to do for Congress to change, it wouldn't be a specific tax rule because again, there's too many like specific situations and people who would fight against it. I would, as much as inherently, I don't particularly care for giving the government more money to do just about anything. The IRS has to get modernized. The technology has to get updated because with the tools that are coming out of the last couple of years, we could get rid of so many tax return filings because a lot of the IRS's systems are 20 and 30 and 40 years out of date. Like we're not talking 1 or 2 years, but especially when I have people who come across issues with the IRS, most of the time I'm explaining the IRS's own rules to them and I'm sending them documents they already have copies of.
Yeah.
If we could do that one thing, just think of how many more people or how many people wouldn't have to stress and freak out and be afraid of a tax filing every year. Then we could start addressing, okay, which tax rules need to change to make this more equitable or however you want to look at it. But like the system of just how this gets administered is incredibly, incredibly unnecessarily complex because it's not up to date.
Well, I'm gonna kick back to that a little bit. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say that I agree with you, but I understand where they're coming from as well. Because once you update the system, because you've seen it, you go to your computer, update it. I just updated it last week. What's going on here? You know what I mean? So it's going to be constant update. Is that more costly to continually updating systems because it's going to be a nonstop forever update? Because by the time they update the system in the Social Security or update the system in the government, it's outdated. They got to update it again. So it's just too big, but I digress. I don't know. I'm a nihilist, like I said earlier. I you know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so our options are leave it alone and see how long it holds itself together, or try. And we might get it wrong, but I'm gonna go for trying.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, man. Hey, this has been fun, man. This has been fun. Like I know we were kind of taking tangents, but this has been fun because this is what this show's about. We're having ideas, getting things out there. And your tax knowledge, what you do on LinkedIn and everything like that is phenomenal, man. Thank you so much. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, LinkedIn is where I'm most active. I have a podcast as well that's focused on helping financial advisors understand tax planning better. It's the Retirement Tax Services podcast, but LinkedIn's definitely where to find me.
Hey, man, Steven, appreciate you having you, man. Thank you so much. I know we went to the ethics side of things because we like to get deep. I know we talked about being in athletics. I'm going to start running again.
Heck yeah.
And again, and I just wanted to talk about 2 or 3 ideas because the Roth thing was killing me, man. I just like, I get so upset because I have to go back. And I'm like, did I do that then? Why are my records looking like this? Does the custodian even have the records of us putting money in? Oh, by the way, it was Scott Trade from 4 years ago. I don't know what just happened to them. Anyways, whatever. But anyways, okay. Hey, thank you for joining the 980s podcast today, my friend. It's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to do this again anytime. I don't. Hopefully that was helpful. I enjoyed it, even if nobody likes our ramblings.
No, it's always fun, man. It's always fun. Thanks again,
awesome.
brother.
Thanks, Kevin.
Talk to you soon. We had Steven Jarvis from Retirement Tax Services talking about taxes, talking about some of the things we need to get rid of. Yes, we went on some tangents. Yes, we talk about other things because it's what matters to you. This all matters to you. The Roth 5-year rule, I definitely think we need to get rid of it. The Social Security tax in regards to not changing the rules around that. The formula needs to change. The widow's penalty, we got to figure that out as well. People get unfairly taxed due to that. And the tax code in general, we have to make it simpler. That's the moral of this whole entire story. We have to make it simpler. We have to make what it means, how effective it is, and modernizing it. Again, I'm for modernizing it. I know I was kind of being a little facetious at the end, but I'm for modernizing the system. Thank you guys for joining the 980s podcast today. Subscribe to the channel. Go and get my book, MLB to CFP, live on Apple and Amazon. You have any questions, comments, concerns, you can email us at info@99capitalgroup.com. Send us your questions. Go to the website at www.99capitalgroup.com. Schedule an appointment. As you know, we're here to do what? Educate, empower, engage, also entertain. Find us on all social media channels at 99cap or at MLB to CFP. Steven Jarvis, thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Stay home, stay safe, my friend. I'll see you again soon.